Marcus. Good Monday morning to you. You are here with Dell and Dell, and we're going to hop right on into these hot, sizzling topics. This morning, Marcus, I always like for you to at least say hello before I just start going in. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm ready to go, ready to go. Constant locked, ready to
R-
rock, smiling and dialing, blowing and going. Let's roll.
Let's
Yes.
rock and roll. We had such a powerful week last week with our live broadcast, and so many nuggets came out that resonated and continue to resonate with so many of those who are listening. So, I want to jump right into our topic today, and it is for our viewers, you can see it right there on your screen, identity in crisis. And this came up a lot last week regarding folks knowing who they are and understanding what their identity is. And we know that identity often is informed from external forces or voices. What a parent says about you, what a teacher says about you, what your culture, your neighborhood may dictate that you are as a person because of your neighborhood or because of your ethnicity or because of all of these various factors. And today, I would love for us to just have a conversation
Mm.
about the importance of a person knowing who they are and that whole process of discovering their self identity and not being in crisis where they're confused and going back and forth and really submitting to that process of self examination.
Well, Coach, I can't wait to hear some of the things you would want to share on that. As you were talking, what
Yeah.
popped into my mind, though, was how did the person even lose themselves? I
Mhm.
think they knew themselves before the crisis. How did they lose it to begin with? So if we can somehow slip that in there, I'm intrigued.
Well, there's so many different prongs to this. It is so many different prongs because within a crisis, when a person experiences a crisis, I've often been taught and heard that that's when the real them emerges. So
Right.
if there's a crisis in their identity and they don't know who they are, they're subject to gravitate toward anything, just anything. And that's when we begin to see these rash behaviors or uncharacteristic be actions, reactions, what have you, in the midst of a crisis. And then there's also the other side of that coin when a person just internally, they may seem fine to everyone else, but internally they're lost and they don't know who they are. So to speak to what you just shared, I believe the work begins first and foremost with the person knowing who they are, going through that exploratory process and being real. So many dynamics are hitting my mind, and I don't want to get ahead of myself. But what would you say are some of the key ways that or key questions a person can ask themselves that will help them lay hold of their true identity?
Well, I think that's an incredibly great question. And the first thing that comes to my mind when I've been in these situations myself. So this is not something I read about. This is something I know for a fact. And when I'm in that state, when I wind up in this type of vortex, the biggest question that I ask myself, Coach, is have I been in a similar crisis before? And did I come out of it in the past? And
Mhm.
every time I think about, I've been here before, I'm somewhat familiar, I've seen how he works, and I don't think he's going to change now in midstream. So that gives me tremendous comfort, Coach, that I've been here before and I've come out more than once. So therefore, stand down, calm down, and just learn from this experience.
So when you go through that process with yourself, would it be accurate for me to say what you discover about yourself in that moment based on your history, based on the previous times that you've been through a situation, is that you're resilient?
I think that I could say, yeah, I would say I'm resilient, but I think I lean a little bit more on he is resilient.
Right, right. Yeah,
I
yeah.
lean on the power of my source versus the power of me and my flesh.
Right, right.
I trigger some laughter. What's going on?
Well, yes, because you are opening a can of worms. And so I want to go there. I want to go there.
Look, I'm just telling you the truth. I can't
Yeah,
make this up. This is,
we got to keep it.
look, if people follow me, we're going to all go into a ditch and we probably won't come out. So I tell people to follow my instructions, follow the person that I'm following, or follow the directives, not me. Follow. I tell people to go learn from who I'm learning from, and then see how you're doing. So we're traffic directors. We're trying to direct traffic into the right direction so you can live a life. It's not me. I'm not the deal. You're not the deal. It's when we're together, we become great traffic directors, Coach. That's all.
I had a conversation with a younger person earlier this morning, actually, and this
Was that around 2 or 3 o'clock this morning?
I got a call
with
around.
that younger person.
Yeah, yes. I got a call about 2 something this morning, and it stayed on the phone a couple of hours with them. And I was sharing with them the exact same thing. And Marcus, it's amazing how our conversations evolve while we're live right here in front of everyone else. And it's just that it's so meaningful when you are connected to that source, And for you and I know for us, that source it is God. But when you're connected to that source, it's from that source that we are ascribed an identity. And our belief system is that no, there is no other stable, secure, solid place that's greater than that source from which we draw our strength and from which we draw our power. And so in times when, as was the case in this conversation early this morning, you get lost and disoriented and everything's upended and your emotions and your feelings and your mental state, all of this is just swirling around. When you can lay hold of something that's bigger than you, stronger than you, that knows you, and then rely on that to begin to inform you, like, you're not losing it. You are a person of purpose. You are a person of destiny. You do have the power. You do have the strength, and begin to I guess they call it self speak or self talk, and begin to encourage yourself on the things that we know are factual. And those that are listening today who have been in crisis, both externally, because you can't live in this world without experiencing a crisis from time to time, but most significantly internally, where we don't even know who we are. We don't know, am I going to fade away into oblivion? Am I going to be prosperous and successful in this moment? I don't know. Everything is all over the place. Take that moment to begin to tap into those spaces, those places that are stronger than you, more fortified than you, that can help you identify the strength that's in yourself. Would you agree with that?
I would agree pretty much 99.99. I just would say for the younger people who get to the point where they don't know who they are, this is great advice and great coaching. For those of us who've been around a lot longer, there's no forgetting who we are because of our experiences. We know whose we are so well. We don't get too derailed as much as we used to when we were younger. So I would make that, there's people listening that are younger, and they will come across a point in time, I'm sure. I've got 3 sons, 2 daughters, and now my daughters are teenagers now, starting tomorrow. And so they will get lost on who they are, I'm sure. And so everything you just said, pertinent, relevant, and right on point.
Yeah.
The seasoned folks, some of us, I don't think there's going to be any more forgetting over here. I don't think I can forget in my situation. It's pretty permanently locked in. Who and whose I am. But thanks for asking.
So what you bringing that up brings another dynamic, another thought for those of us who are seasoned and been around for a while. Would you agree that there are times when we have ascribed to ourselves an identity that is not in alignment with the identity that God or our source or our power has given us? And I'll give an example.
I got it. I got it already.
Uh, okay.
You're nailing stuff to the wall. And what you're bringing up, every sentence is opening up a new can, a new can, a new can. We got 10 cans going. But to your point, it's when my flesh gets in the lead spot, takes the wheel, driving the car. And so when my flesh gets all in the way, which has happened, I'm going to say more than once, then what you just said, that's what's happening. And then there's ways and techniques and strategies that can get that flesh to stand down and shut it down quick, fast, because of crisis number, blah, 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 blah. And so then I get back on track that way.
Right.
But that's when that happens, to your point. Yes.
So doing that whole self-examination,
Yes.
and really evaluating ourselves is so powerful. I've had in my experience in ministry and coaching folks down through the years, full grown folks in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s even say, well, this is just the way I am. This is just how I am, honey. Let me tell you. And they're conducting themselves or embracing a version of themselves that's not their highest or best self. It's not in alignment with what the source of all things would say about them. But they've grown so comfortable with their triggers, so comfortable with their traumas, that this whole persona has been created, and now they wear it like a badge of honor, as though it is their identity, when in actuality it is not. What would you say to that person who's stuck with and wearing it like, oh, well, I'll give them a piece of my mind? And I'm just finding a politically correct way of saying these things, but we can all hear the voices. We've all met these type of folks. Well, I'll just give them a piece of their mind. Well, they knew not to say that to me because I'll just, and this is just who I am. When in actuality, there's a higher and better and greater version of themselves that's awaiting them. What would you say to that person?
Well, what I've learned the hard way too is that I found out that I can't save everybody, because there's quite a number of people that are not looking to be saved. They're not looking to be rescued or enhanced, or have no interest in personal development. So that's a key factor right there. I had to learn that the hard way, because I'm trying to save everybody and help everybody see how life really can be. Right. And that's not something that is really going to work, because there's a lot of people who don't want to change. So I learned for myself that I had to learn how to be comfortable with normalcy and with things working in order. And see, I didn't realize that I was very uncomfortable when things were in order and bills were paid and things are on time and things are done decent and in order. I wasn't comfortable with that because I've never experienced it before. I experienced all nothing but chaos and just terror every day. So when things got kind of balanced, I was very uncomfortable. I remember calling the fiance who I was planning on marrying, and I called her. We worked in the same building for the Attorney General's office. And I called her one day. I said, hey, look, listen, everything's in order. Things are paid and things are on time. I'm very uncomfortable. I feel like something's wrong. She said, wow, that's how it's supposed to be. I don't feel right. I hung up the phone. I got a call from the IRS. And the IRS, it was either them or the student loans. They said, sir, we found you. We're coming for you. This is back when the bill collectors could harass you. We're coming to get our money. You can't hide. And they just went on and on. I called my fiance back up and said, honey, we back in business. I got a call and they're coming after me. Now that's what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh. And then I get into personal development years later, 10 days in Hawaii. And a guy told me that I'm comfortable and familiar. I'm familiar. And so I'm comfortable with chaos because that's all I've known. He said to me, I got to learn how to get comfortable with normalcy and peace and calm. So we have to learn how to be comfortable with that. Then we won't walk around saying, well, that's just the way I am. No, it's not the way you have to be, but you got to be interested in pursuing personal development. I've enjoyed this broadcast. I just love this. We should do this every day. No, I'm just playing. Hey, it's time to go.
Gosh, that is not the way they have to be. Well, this is Coach CJ. Until we meet again.
Stay tuned to Wednesday.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.